Marius is the best fighter when it comes to solo Cash Cups finals. In multiple seasons, he has had the world record elims, and in his most recent Cash Cup, he just dropped a 29 kill win. And he does this every single season. He's getting these insane 20+ kill games against other players who are qualifying for the finals, and he makes it look so easy. So I thought, which player is better to look at to figure out how to W key in Fortnite Chapter 2 Remix than Marius? I'm going to be covering every single little strat he does, all the tips and tricks he does, loads of really useful information that you can put into your game no matter what system or what ping or whatever you're playing on, that Marius does, and that can be really useful for you guys. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and let's get straight into this with the first elim. One of the biggest skills for fighting that Marius has absolutely mastered is understanding that it's not just about creating things for yourself and always doing edits and always doing peaks. Instead, it's more so about understanding what your opponent can do. So take this example right here. Marius gets a pump on his opponent, gets the wall on him, and rather than doing any type of edit like a right hand peek or a top row or a top right hand edit, instead he spots where the opponent is standing, which is way too close to the wall, as you can see. So whenever you're this close to a wall, it is really awkward to break the wall and then place your own wall in front of you because you have to look straight down at the floor. And Marius knows this, and he knows the opponent can't place that wall quick enough. So what he's going to do is lets the guy shoot out his own wall, and now this guy normally would be able to place a wall right there, but because he's too close to it, as you can see, he's got the delay where he's got to look down at the floor, and Marius is able to get a free kill. And this is one thing he does the entire time during fights, looking where his opponent is, and he's able to use that to get a kill extremely easily while the opponent is forced into making a mistake they don't even realize that they're making. The next two elims that Marius gets are in the exact same fashion as the first. This first guy had absolutely nowhere where Marius was. He's able to sneak up behind him, get a nice free kill right there. And the next guy, this is a very useful example. Again, this guy is not super stacked, it's not like the craziest fight ever, but he spots the guy not having any awareness, not looking at where Marius is. This guy obviously sees footsteps on his screen, and he doesn't look at where the footsteps are coming from. So all Marius does is spots, oh, he's looking the wrong way, he's trying to open a chest. Let me just jump in the SMG and get a nice free kill like that. And he takes that skibbity sideball, as you can see. And it's so important, guys, when you're fighting, you're constantly looking at the other players, not just trying to hit a shot on them, but looking where they're looking where they're standing. And it's like Marius does the whole time. Then for the rest of this W key game, he goes ahead and gets the vault, of course. This is probably the best W key spot apart from maybe Ice Spice. However, this spot just has a little bit more loot, so you could argue it's better. And also, he makes the interesting decision to leave behind the mythic minigun right there and instead opts for this rapid fire SMG. And you'll see the reason why later on, but the main reason being is that it has an insane fire rate. So you go through your bullets really quickly, but you get guaranteed bleed through damage. So people can't just turbo build and hold walls when you're spraying them. This gun has guaranteed bleed through, which is insanely strong. Just like the Brutus minigun, how you don't have the risk of landing a grotto. Marius in this next fight does one of the best strats that you guys can do whenever you're fighting somebody, and it's called spray baiting. What you do is get on their wall, spray a couple bullets of your SMG, and then see how they react. Look what they're placing in their box, look what type of peeks and things they like to do, and bait them out. And he does this exact same play as soon as he swaps the angle. Look what he does. Swaps to his shotgun, back to his SMG as if he's going to spray the wall, then back to his shotgun and catches this guy out doing a bad peek and gets a bit of opening damage. And now, because Marius has spray baited him, he's got a fully loaded SMG that he can try to end the fight with. And again, Marius does the exact same thing to close out the fight. He spots the opponent is in the exact same situation as earlier. He's in a 2x1 with no cones and no center wall. So what does Marius do? He spray baits and immediately pulls out his blueprint, knowing the guy likes to insta edit, gets the cones on him, gets the center wall, and hits the max and takes him out straight away. You guys need to read what somebody's playstyle is before you get on the wall the second time around. This next fight isn't too crazy for kill number 5 right here. However, Marius has a couple nice plays. The first thing is just using the car as a little right-hand peek device to sort of block off the shot and getting the wall on this guy at the same time. Then he very quickly gets a massive amount of damage onto the player. And the key thing that he does to end this fight quickly, rather than like tunnel visioning and trying to chase this guy through all these old builds, instead all Marius does is angle swapping. And this is so important. You guys need to learn whenever you hit somebody low, just swap the angle that you're approaching from, like move around, and ideally as well move from, you know, here to the right. So press to the D on your keyboard or right on your controller, whatever you're playing on, and go ahead and move to the right so you always have a natural right hand peek. And also, just quickly, it's very awkward for somebody to place a right hand wall, and normally whenever people make boxes or they tarp, because most people are left-handed, if that makes sense, their keyboard, you know, is on the left and their mouse is on the right, they will put that right hand wall last. So watch this play right here. When he makes the space, he's going to make a full box. He gets a little bit stuck, but he makes a full box and then places the wall to the right last because that's the hardest wall to place. And there's even certain angles you can't place that right-hand wall. And Marius uses that the entire time in fights. Very good to end fights quickly, as well as just to angle swap mid-fight as well. And also, if you guys don't believe me about this being the best gun in the game, that was the Brutus minigun gun, as you can see. And Marius does not take the minigun because of the charge time on it. This SMG has the exact same fire rate. However, you can instantly reload it really quickly, as well as you can go ahead ahead and actually get bleed through damage without that charge up time. If you guys enjoy learning how a pro player thinks when they're fighting, then definitely go check out the Fighting Masterclass. We just released this last week. It's a brand new masterclass and it is by far the best thing I've ever created. And one of my favorite sections inside of it is the playstyle of the pros. Inside this section, you can learn exactly how a top tier pro player thinks, as well as their exact playstyle that you guys can copy and learn from and implement into your own games. We've got pros such as Muzz, Vico, Pixie, Teeny, Visuals, Pablo Wingu, Marius is also featured inside here, as well as those of other top tier fighters like Boltz and Ritual, exactly breaking down their strategies and exactly how they're so good at keying in solos. If you're interested in getting better at comp, this is by far the best resource out there, and we've already got some really insane results after just 1 week of releasing it. Link down below, and let's get straight back to the video. Hill number 6 right here, Marius is getting third party by somebody nearby, and it's really important whenever you guys are getting third partied mid-fight that you immediately realize where you're getting third partied from. So in this case, it's over here up on the hill, and use it against your opponent, especially if you're trying to pressure your opponent and they're the one who's boxed up. As you can see, Marius does that perfectly. He gets himself between, so the enemy is now between the third party and Marius, who's getting pressured from both sides, and Marius is just going to right hand pressure. And it is the exact same play I was just talking about, where he's always moving around to the right as he's fighting the opponent right here. And he's also not getting too greedy. At no point in this fight has Marius swung his pickaxe on the guy's wall. Instead, he's just SMG pressuring, right hand peeking, and this guy made the classic mistake of placing that right hand wall last, and that's what gets him killed since Marius was able to grab it first. In this next fight, let's go ahead and watch the enemy's POV, and I want you guys to think about what you could do in this situation differently compared to this guy. The guy's trying to do loads of counter peeks, but Marius's movement makes it almost impossible for him to actually get counter peeked. So when the guy finally goes for a couple shots and finally does a good right hand window right here, look at Marius's movement. He's swinging fully to the left, and he also does this very, very useful trick, which is knowing that the guy is behind the wall right here, he pre-fires into the window as close to the window as possible. So you can see, can't see the enemy, but he pre-fires on that little slither of the wall right there, as you can see, like right through here. And this means that as the guy is right hand peeking, and also because the guy's hitbox is actually bigger than the female character model, it's way bigger if you guys didn't know that, it means that he's able to get the shot off first before the guy's even got rid of his pump delay and is able to shoot back. Now let's go ahead and watch how this guy is not able to do anything in return right here as Marius pressures them. First things first, Marius goes ahead and shotgun, spray replace the wall. Then he just does a full-on spray replace to catch the guy off guard. Then this is actually the smartest thing of the whole thing, I think. He smacks the top and distracts the guy. And the reason he's smacking the top here, this is the first time, by the way, in the whole video, Marius has actually used his pickaxe, I'm pretty sure. He smacks the top and then immediately goes ahead and angle swaps. He's not trying to replace the top. He blocks off. He's not even focused on that. He's doing it to distract the enemy while he's angle swapping. And the guy's very lucky there not to die from the back. Then Marius goes ahead and gets the sidewall, completely blocks this guy off. And just to recap, all of these builds here are Marius's. All of this is blocking the guy off. The top is blocked off. All of these builds over here that Marius is pressuring from are his as well. And the other guy has got absolutely no options. He does put up a good fight, hits some pre-fires in return, but of course he's going to go down in that situation. Whenever you're pressuring that well by constantly swapping between shotgun replacing, not using your pickaxe only to bait other people out, spraying the entire time and doing different tempos of break places, it's almost impossible for somebody to do any type of damage back to you while you're fighting. Hill number 8, Marius actually does some very nice fighting tech that you guys can learn. How this fight does take ages. The first thing he does is just getting some bleed through damage after replacing this, and this is one thing you guys should always do in fights, is instead of replacing something when you definitely can, it's so much easier just to spray through and try to get a little bit of chip damage to open the fight and sort of make your opponent panic to begin with, which this guy immediately starts panicking. Then Marius reloads his SMG, angle swaps, swing to the right again, and he immediately starts replacing this guy's floor and sort of makes this guy forced into this other box, because even though the guy's got the top, because he's replacing the floor, the guy's going to get into this other box, and Marius immediately tries ending the fight super quick versus the enemy by hopping straight in. The guy decides to exit out the top, and Marius does this really nice bit of piece control, which is using the edited floor right here and getting the full box almost on the guy from below, and then uses this edited floor as well to replace the stair after getting the cone up top. So as you can see, replaces the stair, and then finally to finish off this nice little bit of tech, he does the little Martos jumping peek through and almost hits the guy and takes him out. The guy's lucky enough to get away, and this fight took absolutely ages because Marius didn't have too many mats. Then to finally end the fight, Marius plays it nice and slow, lets the guy run around like a maniac. There's a right hand window, and as soon as they both sort of miss this shot right here, he makes the really confident play of just getting straight in the box. And of course the other guy's first reaction isn't to hold out his pump and wait for a second shot, it's to try to replace the wall. So Marius just gets straight in and takes out the enemy before they're able to run around anymore. Hills 9 and 10, Marius third parties 2 players fighting, and take a look at how he does this. This is really important. The one thing, he doesn't focus on the player who's down on low ground, as you can see. Instead he focuses on the one he assumes is low HP, because they're the one disengaging and making space. And all he does is waits for the guy to make that space and jumps straight in from the top and catches the guy completely unaware. And now the guy's caught unaware. He's in a really bad spot, obviously wanting to make more space. Marius just bleeds to the wall and gets a nice free kill. And then watch how he plays this fight versus the next one. Again, tries to do a jumping play, gets hit to very, very low HP, and immediately plays it nice and slow, but keeps up the pressure on the enemy because he knows he's out traded the enemy. This guy is super low HP. It's a very easy fight if he can just get the bleed through damage to the SMG. But he makes sure not to get pre-fired or not to get edited on. As you can see, the guy seems pretty good. He's doing edits in return. So what does Marius do? Sprays his SMG, takes the time to pop mini so he can no longer get one-shot body pumped, and immediately goes ahead and pressures the guy and cancels his heals. It's so important that you don't just let people have a free time of actually just healing up and you cancel their heals, especially when you know they're like popping a med kit or something for a while, because when you cancel their heals, they're probably going to be a little bit annoyed. They're going to want to do a counter peek back to get you, alleviate some pressure. And this guy falls for the classic, holding the edit on the cone. Marius hops up, does the little Martel's classic, and gets a super free kill. That peek is very situational, but in that case right there, absolutely perfect situation to do it. Gets a free kill on the guy peeking from above with the little Martel's classic. For kill number 11, Marius has some really good in the box move. First thing that he does is very quickly gets this wall replaced on the guy, and just quickly from where the guy's standing, he can't even hold this wall really in most situations because he's way back in the other box. So even though he's turning around trying to hold the wall, Marius is able to grab it, gets the guy completely unaware, and gets a load of opening damage. Now when he gets wall to wall, take a look what he does. Whenever he's reloading his SMG, he's swinging back, so if the guy was to open an angle, it's very awkward for him to actually see Marius, and Marius can get the out trade with the SMG versus the pump at range. And now as Marius gets close, take a look at how he baits out the pre-fires. First of all, by getting the wall low multiple times, so the guy shoots his own wall and sort of breaks it himself. And now, as the guy makes a 2x1 upwards, which is a very good play by him to be fair, look what Marius does. He stands way back, uses the guy's own wall against him, so the guy can't even see where Marius is shooting him from, and he gets hit for an insane amount of damage with that rapid fire SMG. Now, Marius baits out the pre-fires multiple times again by spraying, getting up close and personal with the guy, and only when the guy is cracked and how he's got no longer whites, what Marius does, waits for the guy to pull out his blueprints, waits for him to be in the edit screen. As you guys can see, the pencil's out. He's doing an edit on the wall, and the wall's likely to be low HP if he was to do the edit. Marius sprays straight through, pumps the ceiling for some reason, and then takes out the other player and gets a very free kill. It's so important when you guys are in a box fight situation that you constantly are aware of your movement. You're not just standing like a statue, letting the other guy do really simple peeks on you, and you're constantly moving around, jiggling around, making your angles swap up. So it's very hard for the enemy to out-trade you. And now Marius gets this really good loadout with the floppers and the big bots, and of course he's going to keep W keying. For kills number 12 and 13, Marius does a couple of really nice plays that you guys can learn from. Exactly like earlier, he's going to use the server or the people third party against this other player, as you can see. So when he does actually finally get in box here with the jump in replace right here, he has the guy really panics, he's getting shot, he's low HP, and he immediately focuses on getting control of the centerpiece. And the next thing he does, as soon as he gets control of the centerpiece, is he holds the edit for a second. Not for like an insane amount of time, like he's not just waiting for like a perfect opportunity to edit, but he holds it for a second to make the guy react and not just hold out his shotgun. A lot of people, whenever you get control of them, they're just going to stand there with a shotgun out, and if you wait just half a second or so, they're going to start trying to run out, they're going to edit out, they're going to look the other way, and it's going to be a free kill for you, which is exactly what Marius does. He waits just a second for the guy to no longer have his shotgun out. Now the guys get caught sprinting, trying to leave the box, and Marius gets a nice free kill just like that. On the next kill, Marius does a bunch of really useful techniques. Again, first thing he does is he lets this guy fall into his face right here, which is normally very risky, but he immediately uses his fast mechanics, gets out the box, but doesn't insta edit in return. Most people here would insta edit when the wall is already 1 HP from him scroll or resetting it. Instead, what Marius does, lets the guy replace his wall, right? Which normally you might think, oh, that's not the best play. You shouldn't let somebody replace the wall that you've got on them. But he knows the guy's reaction is to try to piece control them. And if you look where the guy is standing, go to his POV, he can't do any piece right here, apart from really place like a cone and maybe a cone up top. He can't get the walls on Marius. So what Marius does, lets the guy try to piece control, let the guy think he's Boogo for a second and piece control him. And instead, gets a free pump and then is immediately able to get out the box without taking a lick of damage and without even getting any builds placed on him. Now, he's got a really easy time of ending this fight, and take a look what he does. He footstep tracks the guy as he jumps down on the side. Doesn't quite hit the pump right there, but because he has the piece on him, as you can see, he's got all the piece. The guy can't go up, and the guy, it's not his cone below him. Marius gets the doubles below the guy and gets another cone on the other player and immediately angle swaps. It's so important whenever you have somebody in this situation. You don't just stand here and replace as they can fall and 50-50 you and hit you 180 or whatever. Instead, angle swaps to the side, The guy does a very nice play of holding his floor the first time around, and Marius knows the guy is unlikely to try to hold his floor again. Like, he definitely could try it. However, he wants to get out the box. It's his full box. He wants to get out of the cone. So what Marius does, insta double pickaxe, which he hasn't done the entire time of this video. Hasn't double pickaxe once. Only double pickaxes when the guy's trying to do the same thing. Drops the guy down, resets the wall so he can't take any damage in return, and gets a nice free kill as the guy's stuck in all his edits. And just quickly, one thing, don't know if you guys have noticed so far in the video, but Marius always has the muscle memory of making space. Like, as soon as he gets a kill, he has the muscle memory to make space. In this case, he already had that space made, but he still has that muscle memory sort of built in from playing and getting third partied and not getting grappled on. So important that you guys build that up as well. The next 2 kills, Marius just does something which is really simple, which is just doing a little bit of a drone check as you approach the box. And as you can see, just look at the other play right here. You just know this other guy is pretty bad. The way he's just moving around in the box, looking at Marius as he comes over, trying to do a little pre-fire and missing his shot. He builds in wood straight away. And also, just quickly, never ever do this play where you edit your cone like that. The main reason being is you can't see your wall getting broken that easily. And also, now you're going to be focused on, you know, holding the stair or whatever, and Marius is able to just get straight into the box. Knows the other guy's pretty bad. So even though he misses his pump right here, he's able to take out the other player with the SMG, of course. It is the exact same thing to the next player. Spots the guy down here in wood with Miascles the bot, and immediately has absolutely no respect for the guy. Just straight grabs a wall, doesn't even bother piece controlling, just focuses on getting damage output and takes out the other player straight away and gets 2 very free kills back to back. One of the most important things at the moment in W King is just getting opening, you know, awareness checks on somebody and figuring out if they're a bad player or a good player. It is so useful to do in fights. For kill 16, all Marius does is do the grappler trick, where you basically grapple and then pull out your shotgun just as it sort of connects. You basically press your shotgun bind. It does take a bit of practice, and it allows you to have your shotgun out as you grapple up on somebody. And of course, this other guy shoots a little bit too quick, and Marius gets a whole load of damage onto him, and it's a very easy time of taking out the other player. Definitely practice that grapple trick. It's really useful for solo cash grabs. In this next fight, Marius does a couple nice things as he gets on the guy's wall. As you can see, the guy is doing a right hand peek, pretty good peek by him, and he gets some opening damage onto Marius, but Marius immediately, instead of peeking the angle where the guy's holding him, swaps the angle around, holds the edit as he moves around, and then gets completely behind it and misses his shot. However, it was a very nice play, so I want to show you regardless. Always make sure that you're swapping your angles in fights, and if you are swapping an angle around to the left, make sure you hold the edit to make sure you're completely safe as you do it. Then in the fight, Marius just tracks the guy's footsteps down, gets in, and takes him out. For kills number 18 and 19 right here, Marius doesn't do anything too flashy. All he does is just let these other people rotate past him and then jumps on them as they're getting held from in front, which is a really good play to get a refresh if you guys ever need a refresh at these type of zones, like just before moving zones. So as you can see, other people are getting held from in front, and then Marius is able to get just 3 kills on them being unaware. That's not the main thing that I want you guys to focus on right here. It's how Marius survives when he's getting hit to low HP. Instead of just rotating on foot right here as he's getting held by a player with an AK, instead what he does is he grapples, mantles in storm, so he tanks a load of storm, and then he just tarps in a high layer in metal and overbuilds an insane amount, as you can see, just to make sure he survives. If you're ever getting held, always make sure you use storm to your advantage and you like flank around in storm for a second, as long as you have the whites to do so, and then try to layer up so people can't shoot you out as easily. The reason you guys are probably getting focused and lobbied the whole time is because instead of going and doing what Marius did, you probably grappled down to here, and then now you're suddenly between like 4 people who can shoot you from different directions, and you would definitely die in that situation. Instead, go to high layers, overboard mats, and he's going to use this good high layer position to actually get kills from in a second. Now when it comes to kill number 20 here, as we get into endgame, this is how Marius gets the majority of his refreshes whenever it comes to just playing a tournament. And it's the one thing that I think you guys should learn from watching this that's really important for endgame kills. It's not just about box fighting people very well, it's about being in a good position so they're forced to make mistakes. Like this guy right here, he's doing a grappler rotate, Marius is on height, has the edits on him, and then instead of doing the edits and just box fighting normally, instead all he does, waits for the guy to leave his box. The guy's going to be making mistakes, he has to go to zone, he can't go back out this way, and Marius is able to get a very free kill and get a massive refresh. And that's just the way he gets the majority of these endgame kills. Rather than just straight up box fighting people, he just waits for zone to kick them out or for them to be making mistakes back zone like this guy, and then he gets a very free kill multiple times. And all these players aren't even shooting back at this point because they're so panicked and worried about zone hitting them and not taking any ticks, and that allows Marius just to run around and basically just piece up everybody as they go to zone. And he gets a little bit unfortunate here not being able to take out this other player as well. Then on second moving, he does the exact same thing. He starts playing height, since obviously height is the easiest position to get kills from, but he's not actually trying to play height here. Instead, he's just using this to spot people and figure out where they're going to be free kills from. As you can see, this guy's sitting in his cone, quite obviously. So Marius just drops in front, pump, piece, and then edit and gets a free kill. It's really important you guys learn that pump and then piece rather than piecing and then pumping, if that makes sense. You don't want to be building when you can get a free shot off, because that damage output, especially with a spaz, is so key to actually winning fights quickly. These next few kills that Marius gets during endgame honestly aren't too mechanical kills, but they're more so just having good game sense and awareness of what's going on around you. So the first one is this example case of this player right here. This guy has built a 2x1. He's obviously popping heals that Marius can see, and what he does whenever somebody has a 2x1 in the endgame is they're probably going to look down for a kill. Like maybe if they had a Taysom box and they got a stair right here, they might flip the stair and look up, but majority of cases someone with a 2x1 is going to be editing the bottom floor, especially if they're on a high mid ground area, and looking down, which is exactly what this guy is doing. And as you can see, all Marius does is jump in. The guy can't even see his top getting broken, and he gets a very free kill just like that. And he also makes the correct decision here of not picking up any slow heals, and instead always prioritizes quick kills that are as quick to pop as possible. Then he does a very nice high ground flank right here. So this guy up on height, to be fair, is doing a pretty decent job of holding height. He's connected back zone, he's double layered in metal, he's on the right hand side of zone. However, he's not fully on the right, and Marius is going to abuse this. So what he does is he's going to grappler cancel and go up on the right hand side where there's a little gap in the edge of storm. You can also just do this in storm as well if you're trying to go for a height flank, and he's able to completely blindside this guy, since this guy is of course going to be focused on either tarping or shooting down on the majority side of zone. He's not going to be expecting somebody to grapple up from behind him in storm. It's exactly what Marius does. Hits an opening pump, and then here I really like this choice. Instead of trying to build fight this guy, all he does is just SMG out, and then as he's SMGing and breaking the builds, so instead of just looking at the builds, he's tracking where the guy is, and he gets a really free kill. And then straight away, of course, he gets chopped by somebody else down below him. And what does he do? Grappler's down to not take full. And I'm not gonna lie, that guy just kind of got shit on, if we're being honest. Not really too much to be learned there. That guy just got maxed. Now for kills number 26, this is where Marius is desperately trying to get 30 bomb. He's basically fully hopping in box. He makes sure to clear off high ground so nobody's way up above him. And he spots this guy rotating on wood down the mid ground. And to be fair, this is not the worst rotate by this guy, but whenever you're building on wood, you're extremely vulnerable to somebody jumping on you. Exactly what Marius does. He gets the blocking wall, so the guy is now sniffing his piece, and then just sprays him with the SMG and focuses on output, which is so important. Guys, stop being so flashy when you're trying to get kills during endgame. I don't know, I see people doing this the whole time. It's more so about just getting one bit of piece on somebody and then using that bit of piece to go ahead and take them out. Then at this point in time, Marius has to slow down a little bit because everybody is, playing mid ground. It's quite hard to get kills when people are playing back to all these old boxes. And he actually does a very nice little bit of tech right here, which is as he's box fighting this guy, in a second, you can see he does the stair replace. The guy seems pretty good, gets the cone on him. And what does Marius do? Instead of breaking the cone and having to reload his SMG after that, instead, to save mats, he just does a little jump out the side and then mantles on top of the cone, which is just a pretty useful thing to learn to get out of situations. And this is where he gets on the wall versus other player, and the guy insta edits, catches Marius off guard, and hits him low. And then take a look at how Marius plays defensively. All he does is just back up, make some space in metal, and then immediately get his quick kills off while looking where the opponent is to make sure the guy's not pressuring him. So important whenever you get hit to low HP that you actually figure out where the opponent is if they're trying to key you, and then he's able to chain this into a couple more kills. This little bit of piece right here is really nice. He gets the guy fully boxed, doesn't spray out because he doesn't have any SMG bullets. He just holds the guy in storm for a second, and then angle swaps after holding him in storm for the right hand peak, just like that. Gets another right hand peak, and the guy is way back in storm, so of course Marius is just going to chase him and prevent him from playing early heal off. And now we get into this final 1v1, and I'll break this down in depth because Marius absolutely shits on this guy in the 1v1. So the first thing that Marius does in this 1v1 is make a load of space and make sure he's as safe as possible. It's really important that, especially when you have, some type of an advantage in a fight. So in this case, Marius obviously has a mat advantage compared to this other player who's, just been playing mid ground the whole game, while Marius has been getting loads of kills. He obviously has a massive mat advantage. So you want to play to that strength rather than playing to like grapple on their head or try to, play for heal off, whatever in this case. So Marius is all he's going to do is burn this guy's mats and force the other guy into making mistakes. So look what he does. Looks for some back peeks right here. Then he does this nice little play, chopping out the weak wall back in storm. And immediately upon doing the chop, he sprints, swaps his angle, and tries to go for a pump. And it's the exact same thing multiple times. Doing little peeks from back in storm. So as the guy's trying to pressure Marius's mats away, he gets a little chip damage off. Exact same thing again. Stare, pre-fire shot, and then finally to finish off the fight when he knows the guy's got no mats because he's not building anything, he does this little nice Martel's peak with a stare over the head and gets a free kill. Whenever you guys are in a 1v1, and I coach just a lot of solo cash cut 1v1s where people just completely throw the game as soon as they get in 1v1 because they get nervous, always think of what is your advantage. So in this case for Marius, he had an insane amount of mats, so all he needs to do is just tarp and force the fight by using his mats to his advantage by doing safe peeks from back in storm. And the same thing, if you've got loads of heals, don't be afraid to just play your heals early and play the 1v1 out that way. way. And if you've got, you know, absolutely nothing, then don't be afraid to just take the fight to the enemy, because that's your highest chance, the likelihood of actually winning the game in that case. All right, that's all for this video, guys. Please go check out the other ones that are up on the screen somewhere at this point. If you like the video, then give it a like. If you're new here, subscribe, and that's basically it.